story is that when I was 10, I went to India to visit my family. And when I was 10, I had this problem where I refused to shit outside my own house. Actually, I still have this problem, but that's not the point, so let's get back to the story. So because I refused to shit, I didn't shit for about 2 weeks. And then one day I really had to shit, so I went to the toilet of my grandma's house and I tried to shit. But what happened was I couldn't shit cause I was constipated and I was in a lot of pain. So I screamed for my mom and she came in and she took a piece of tissue and she tried to pull the shit out of my ass. But because I hadn't shat for 2 weeks, there was a lot of shit stuck inside of me. So even after pulling out my shit, I still had to shit even more. So what I did was squeeze even harder, but it was not enough to get the shit out. So my family decided to go to a hospital and see a doctor. So yes, we went to a hospital, but because I had shit a little before, my ass was dirty and full of shit. So when I pooped my pants, it was also full of shit. But that's okay. So I went to the doctor and she said, "Oh, I have to inject something up your ass." And I said, "Okay, fine." So she injected something up my ass. And then the injection made me want to shit even more. And then I asked her, "Can I use the toilet?" And she said, "Okay, sure." But then her toilet was the most freaking disgusting thing I ever seen. But then I was so urgent to shit, then I didn't care. But when I went to shit, it still didn't wanna come out. So my mom propped me up on the toilet and pushed my stomach while I took a shit. After 30 freaking minutes, the shit finally came out. Thank you.
Okay, one thing about me is when I was in 5th grade, I got invited to this girl's house for a little kickback. And my crush was there, and I was really hoping we were gonna get our first kiss on that day. But what happened was the girl whose house we're at suggested that we play a game of sardines. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of like hide and seek, but the finders find the people and then they hide with them anyway. So we had our little scheme, my crush and I. He told me to go and hide in the shower and wait, but then went an hour and he wasn't there until I heard a knock on the door. Who's in there? It was the voice of the girl whose house I was at, and so I didn't answer because I thought it was a scheme for the girls to be mean to get me out of the game. And bitch, I don't play. So anyway, I'm sitting in the shower, I don't say a word, and then I hear the door close. But I hear breathing, it's not my own, it's breathing of the girl's mom on the phone. She in the bathroom now, sitting on the toilet. I'm behind the shower curtain hoping she don't see me, because if she did, it would be hella awkward because I didn't say anything when she said, "Is anyone in here?" So I sat and I held my breath and I held back while she took a fucking shit for 45 minutes, holding back tears. Then I finally thought my time was over. She walks on over, reaches her hand behind the shower curtain for a bottle of soap. I pray, please, please don't find me. And she didn't. But you know what? I never got my kiss, and I never played a game again.
One thing about me is that when I was 20, I didn't get my period for an entire year. And my belly got bigger, it got larger and harder. So I went to the doctor to not be in fear. He took one look at me and said, "Bitch, you're pregnant." I said, "No, I'm not. I haven't had sex. I'm still a virgin." He said, "Oh, no, you're not. You're 4 months pregnant." So he gave me a test. Well, turns out it was a cyst on my ovary the size of a melon. It had teeth and hair. It was so big. They took it right out. If that thing had burst, it would have motherfucking killed me. And that's no doubt. So the moral of the story is, if you don't get your period, you better go to the doctor. It might be a cyst, bitch.
One thing about me is when I was 16, I was going to high school. Just like every teen, I was chilling in the class with like 15 people. I was fasting for Ramadan. There was no Muslim people at my school. Pretty much everyone was white. So when they saw me in the class, they thought it wasn't right. At the end of the class, it was time for lunch. But remember, I am fasting, so I cannot munch. So I go to the library, not the cafeteria, and there was nobody there, so it was a very nice area. The librarian called my name. She said, "What you're doing here?" I told her, "Habibti, don't you worry, there is no one eating here." She told me, "You need to leave, you're not allowed at this time." I told her, "Darling, I am fasting, so please let it slide." She got angry, she got loud. She said, "Get the hell out." I told her, "You can keep on screaming, cause I'm not walking out." Her face was red, so I know that she's about to explode. And it was at this time her true color showed. She finally called me a stupid immigrant. I'm like, "Oh my Allah, you're gonna regret this incident." So I ran to the office to tell the principal. I'm like, "How the hell did you hire this imbecile?" The next day she wasn't there, so I thought she got fired. But I come to find out that she really retired. Stupid teacher.
One thing about me is that 3 years ago, I moved into my boyfriend's parents' house to see how things would go. Everything was going well and we shared a double bed. But I started waking up itchy, dry and red. I ignored it for a while, thought it's just a reaction to the detergent in the sheets. There's no need for action. But it started getting worse on my arms, legs and face. So I went to the doctors in a timely pace. They confirmed what I thought. It's just an allergy. So take these antibiotics, they said mannerly. And I took them for 2 weeks and my rash disappeared, but it came back when I'd finished. And that's exactly what I'd feared. I ignored it again until I was laid there one night. It wasn't a rash, it was a bite. Connor got me an extra pillow from under the bed when I felt something tickling under my head. I looked down to see what was there. Bedbugs crawling out of the pillow and into my hair. So we found out the cause of the rashes, but it got worse. We had to get rid of the whole bed. Felt like a curse. And then to make things even worse, anxiety was triggered. Lots of random panic attacks. But all things considered, since we had no bed and we had no money, we had to live on an airbed, which was awful, but it was kind of funny. And then I had a trapped nerve when I was sleeping on the air mattress, and because I had the anxiety, I thought I was having a stroke because I couldn't feel my arm, but that's a completely different story.
One thing about me is I get really pissed when men try to control how women dress or blame what she's wearing when it comes to cases of physical violence, sexual assault, and rape. I don't care if a woman's walking naked down the street. You have no right to touch her without her consent. So stop blaming her clothes and start changing your attitude, because women have the right to be safe, no matter where she's at or what she's wearing. 1 in 3 women globally has experienced some sort of violence within their lifetimes. Over here in Asia, it's nearly 1 in 2. Just think about those numbers. That's nearly half the women on the planet. How are we okay with this, and what can we do? Remember, whether it's a hijab or a skimpy bikini, it's always her choice, her body, her rules. So stop telling us how to dress and start teaching boys and men how to respect so we can create a safer, more equitable, and respectful society for future generations. Thank you.
One thing about me is when I was 19, my dad passed away. And this is how I found out. Me and James were getting frisky in my bedroom. We were butt-ass naked when we heard a knock at the door. But we were like, leave it, it's alright. Mum will get the door. After a few other knocks, we realised no one's got the door. We go and look out the window to see. Who could this be? Knocking, knocking, knocking. We see flashing lights and James goes, oh fuck, it's the police. They're gonna take me to jail because basically James came to mine on Boxing Day when the COVID restrictions began again. Naughty boy. So he thought he was going to be taken away and we were both in a panic and still butt-ass naked. So we got quickly dressed and had a hot flush and went to the top of the stairs to try and sneak what the police were saying to my mother. They said, does Isabella and Jojo live here? And that's when the penny drops for James and he realised what was about to go down. But I was still in this delirious mindset. I was like, James, it's going to be okay. I promise everything's going to be alright. He knew it was going to be alright, but he was like, Isabella, I don't think it will be alright for you, but we'll just see. I was like, what is he on about? I'm not the one that came here on Boxing Day. Then after 5 minutes, my mum goes, Bella, I think you're gonna need to come downstairs. So she sits me down in the living room and she tells me, Julian is dead. I go, well that's a bit shit. A lot more than that. I was emotionally numb because, well, how are you meant to act when that happens? Then James, I go upstairs to James and I say, James, you're all right, mate, but Julian has died.
One thing about me is that when I was pregnant, I was really self-conscious about how small my bump was. I had another friend who was also pregnant, but her bump was bigger than mine. It's fine, I go to my doctor and I tell her my concerns, but she kinda gaslights me and tell me it's okay. So I keep on doing my pregnant thing, like no coffee or fish or really anything until 25 weeks when my vision gets blurry. My back really hurts and I'm kind of dizzy. I tell my doctor and she gaslights me again. She says, it's okay, you're just pregnant, friend. So 28 weeks hits. I get high blood pressure. They test me for preeclampsia. I have it. So I keep going back for non-stress tests because they want to make sure that baby is okay. And every single week he passes the test. So we're like, it's fine, he's growing great. So 35 weeks I have an ultrasound. The tech does a little thing on my tummy and frowns. She exits the room and I get nervous and like 30 seconds later, the doctor walks in. She says, hey, you're gonna have a baby today. Like right now. He hasn't grown. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, you're gonna have a baby right now.